Hi, my name is Molly Spitzer. I'm the volunteer coordinator at St. Vincent De Paul, Cincinnati. And if you're looking for a community to get involved in, I think I have the place that you might want to tune in for.
Welcome to the Redirect Podcast, where we explore what comes after career. Real conversations about transitioning from the 9-to-5 grind to your next great adventure. Whether you're heading into retirement or simply redefining what purpose means, we're here to inspire, inform, and help you reimagine what's next. This isn't the end of the road. It's the start of something new. Gentlemen, it is such a pleasure to be with you yet again to have another conversation about engagement in these wonderful years that we have in front of us. I know you guys have volunteered for countless events and organizations. Have you ever been responsible for organizing and leading a group of volunteers? What did you enjoy about that, and what was the outcome that you observed?
In the very early years of Crossroads, I remembered I was in charge of the info center, which means I have to kind of go out and find people to do it, do things that it was beyond me. That was scheduling them and then making sure that they would show up. And when you're not paying them, they really don't have to show up. Yeah. So it was a big deal for me, smaller, but I thought, well, if I ran a company, it was really hard to, make sure you had people to fill all the roles and, because stuff came up and just had to deal with that. But the thing I loved about it is that people had a real servant heart. They loved to do what they were doing. And the results of the stories of people that came into the church and were greeted by people who loved being there and had a great story to tell, and to watch that happen, to watch people feel their lives are starting to be changed by this initial step. But you're kind of responsible for making sure you got the people there to tell the stories and to greet the people. And that was really, really rewarding, on the scale of running a company or just running the info center. The results were really powerful. When you saw what happened.
Yeah. Adam?
I had a lot of fun and a bunch of different experiences leading groups, namely teenagers. I worked with teenagers for probably 15 years. It was a big, important piece of getting them engaged, not just go have fun, not just sit here and learn, but, let's get some energy out there to get back. And we did a bunch of things like we helped seniors take care of their lawns when it was time to rake leaves. We did a couple of different mission trips where we went to even not just always in places outside the country, but even just regionally. We would go help other communities, and organizing teenagers for the sake of giving back. And that was a lot of fun. It was very interesting, but to see the impact that those teenagers had on the people receiving that help was remarkable. Just you show up to some old lady's house who can't take care of her lawn, and you've got 38 teenagers knocking out her entire yard in like 4.5 minutes. It's a huge blessing, and just to see how grateful they were, it was pretty great.
Yeah. I graduated from college with a special education degree and then got a job as an adapted phys ed instructor, I guess you could say, just a gym teacher for schools and workshops dealing with range of motion and all kinds of stuff, body awareness for those that were disabled. And through that, got involved with the Special Olympics program and left the teaching career to then join the Special Olympics organization itself, where I was the games and training director for the state of Pennsylvania. And our job was to work with all of the volunteers across the Commonwealth in helping enhance their training experiences with the athletes as well as preparing events. And it is a volunteer organization. And that's the biggest impact that I've had as far as with working with volunteers. I've done a lot of volunteer stuff since, as well as managing small groups. But when you have a summer or winter games where you have 600 athletes there and coaches, and then you have thousands of volunteers that are necessary to organize the event, all the food, all the housing, all the special events, all the events that we're running itself, as well as then being there to encourage the athletes and such. There's a term that they used to use back in the day. Don't know if they still do, but they have huggers, where those that got done, they would be greeting them at the finish line and encouraging them. And
I want that job.
Yeah. Well, I got another fun story about that too, but I'll tell you offline. But needless to say, the volunteer organization and organizations that rely on volunteers, it's hard work. Mm-hmm. To Dale's point, people want to do it out of the kindness of their heart. And I saw that as a evidence at Special Olympics events that, when you see the effort of putting a summer or winter games together that took you 6 months to do, and then all of a sudden you see the event happening, and it's just the experiences of the athletes as well as the volunteers enjoying that period is really rewarding. It really is. So that's sort of my experience in the big.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
So let's jump into today's guest. The friend of the Redirect podcast is Molly Spitzer. You heard her in the opening. Welcome to the Redirect podcast.
Thank you. I honestly don't know how you get these done in an hour because I feel like after every single one of you finished something, I had something like a thought to go off of it. Have you ever heard of Dare to Try?
No, but I'm willing to try.
Dare.
I'm a triathlete, just on the side, and they're a nonprofit that works with the Special Olympics, and I actually volunteered with them up in Wisconsin, and we just kind of like put a seat underneath people who got done swimming to then go to the beach with people who had like prosthetic limbs, and we had to we were kind of part of their trial. We had to go run to the beach, put them on a seat, and then they would put their arm on our shoulders, and then we would run them up to the beach, put them in a chair. They would get their Olympics on or their prosthetics on, and then they would go.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And we got to talk triathlons offline too, because we're going to hear your story, but
You're a triathlete too?
I was. That's where that's not
another
story.
Another day.
It's another day. I'll tell you about my flat tire.
All right. So you started working for Society of St. Vincent De Paul as a volunteer coordinator back in August of last year, right?
Absolutely, yes.
So tell us a little bit about your backstory, about what your life story or short version of it before that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to hear the personal story or
go back?
Go back.
Take
it back.
Us. Yeah, you said Wisconsin, so my ears are popped. I know Wisconsin,
but we do have to keep it within an hour.
Yes. We got to keep it short. Yeah. So I in college, I actually started at St. Vincent de Paul, so it's my second time back. So they really got me back. But I used to be a storyteller, and then I did a part-time job there after that, which was like a external relations kind of part-time assistant. And then during that time, I am actually adopted, which is just like a small part of my story. And I never connected with my birth mom, but then randomly I got a Facebook post message from my birth mom's aunt.
Oh my.
While I was at work at St. Vincent de Paul one day. And it was a whole long message. And it really was you've always been in our thoughts. We've loved you so much from afar. We just couldn't really have you or have the financial means to have you in that moment. And it was the hardest, most selfless decision we ever had to make. And I was crying seeing that message. Kidding. But then since then, I've connected with my birth mom. We've gone to the Grand Canyon together. It's been an absolute wonderful journey that I don't even think ChatGPT these days can prepare you for.
Yeah.
But I think just with that, I've always really been able to have the perspective of how much of a birthright is genuinely, of just how anyone, we're all kind of people just made of the same things at the end of the day. And we really see that with the people that we're serving. And I think there's really just in my brain, there's no real distinction between somebody who comes through the doors versus somebody who comes through to volunteer or for services, in the sense that could have been me, somebody who needed a service so easily. And I think some of the stories that so many people have going to volunteer, going in and just witnessing St. Vincent de Paul and what we do, it's really cool to see a lot of people trying to have that connection in their own way too. So that's something that I just love about everyone who gets connected.
So before we jump into what St. Vincent De Paul does, because that's important, how'd you end up from where you were to where you are?
Yeah, so I then left after I graduated college, and then I did kind of a business side of things for 2 years. So I was a sustainability analyst at a small company, and it was a great experience, honestly. But with small company, I think after like 2 years, just kind of felt like, okay, so what's next? And just coincidentally, at the same time, somebody reached out from St. Vincent de Paul saying that there is a volunteer coordinator position open. And I'm personally a woman of faith, but I really felt like that was just like a side. I was like, nope, I got to climb the corporate ladder. And then it was like, nope, you're needed
But
here.
even as a role of sustainability analyst, it's the part of a giving heart that you seem to have the thread for you personally.
Yeah.
Molly, I mean, this probably goes way back, but is very much in line with, doing what you've done at St. Vincent de Paul and even in the corporate side and then back again. Is that true? Am I reading that right?
Absolutely. I think it's very, very important for me to do something that I'm very passionate about at the end of the day. And I do think that's just kind of an overall trend too with a lot of people in my age group, I would say. I think there's definitely more of a shift to do things that you're a bit more aligned with morally. But I do think in some ways I probably exceed that personally.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value. If you can do so, find eternal value in what you do professionally.
Yeah.
Even if it's an obscure, stretch to make application, finding something that goes beyond just getting a paycheck and that has lasting value is really important for everybody, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think so many people kind of saw a lot of their parents and grandparents maybe doing jobs that they weren't 100% aligned with and passionate with. And that kind of really sat with a lot of people too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you become a storyteller?
My whole life.
There you go. Authentic.
I mean, I studied journalism and environmental science in college, so I really got to convey a lot of really cool stories. I know when the Ukraine war started, I got to interview 3 Ukrainian students and 1 Russian student that were actually at UC, and that was just such an eye-opening experience, especially just interviewing the Russian student and just hearing how much that they were going through and how much was on their shoulders just for making 1 post saying that they supported Ukraine. So gives a lot of empathy overall.
Oh,
sure.
Powerful.
So let's talk about what St. Vincent de Paul does at large, what their organization is about and explore that for a second. Tell us about them.
Yeah. So St. Vincent de Paul is a network of neighbors helping neighbors. That is our main mission. So any single person that comes through the doors, we just want them to feel welcomed and like this is a place for them. And we offer services for them in the Cincinnati community. But St. Vincent de Paul is at large a national and international organization. So we were actually first started by St. Vincent de Paul himself during the French Revolutionary War. And he really just was somebody with a great heart.
Did his friends call him Vince?
You know what? Maybe they did.
Vinny.
Or Vinny. Yeah, I think Vinny has a better ring to it a little bit.
How do you say it in French? Vance.
Vincent.
Oh,
Vincent.
Vincent. Yeah, that has a good ring to it.
It's a romance language.
Absolutely.
Vincent De Paul.
Alors, chercher le bon vin à la cave. Go ahead.
God bless you.
Let's go to the cellar and look for a good bottle of wine.
You know what? And maybe that's one of the services he was giving, especially with water not being the best quality. But I know he was going out and giving bread and just other needs.
You could rely on the wine.
You could rely on the wine. So maybe that's the secret.
Goes back to biblical days, doesn't it?
But then since then, we've really developed and just become a community in as many communities as we can of a place that is designed for people who are in need of certain services to be able to receive certain services and also a place to grow spiritually as well. So in St. Vincent de Paul, Cincinnati, we do have rental assistance that we'll give. And then we also have a food pantry. We have a charitable pharmacy, which is a really amazing program. We've developed 3 different locations to have the charitable pharmacy, and we give life-saving medications such as insulin to neighbors, and they don't need insurance to receive that, which is huge.
Wow.
Our food pantry, we serve about 100 to 150, sometimes 180 people a day. So we're genuinely serving a lot of people. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a big crowd.
Absolutely.
I live in Milford, Ohio.
Okay, yeah. We have a huge campus out there.
You do, and it's crazy to have seen it grow from, basically a simple small storefront. They built an entire strip mall, took all of that over. Then the Big Lots went out of business. They took all of that over and then started the charitable pharmacy. There is a big space being utilized by you guys out there.
Absolutely.
It's fun. It's great to watch because it's really helpful to a lot of people.
It's so great to hear. Yeah. I mean, our charitable pharmacy over there is our main distribution hub now. And we actually have an AI robot. So, I mean, I know nonprofits get the rep of being really, kind of back and a little behind, but we got AI.
Get down.
So it maps different prescription medication. And so we actually are able to sort different medication through the AI robot. And we're really uploading that system right now so that it really can have that tried and true, like every single time it's getting those medications correctly.
That pharmacy program is brilliant. Can I say? I don't know how that started. It's really new, relatively still new with you guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but it's got to be one of the biggest benefits that you offer.
That's huge.
Let's dive into it. What are you doing?
Yeah, so we're just giving medication to people.
How do you get the medication?
So we do have partners in the community. So either some partners like CVS and other retailers that will give us some medication. And then also individuals can give us medication as well. So
if I have something at a recent surgery and I've got some pain pills that I'm no longer needing, I can come down to St. Vincent De Paul and give you my prescription. And then what happens then?
Yeah, so as long as you can validate that you stored it properly. So if it needs to be stored at room temperature in a dark area in the fridge, and then you'll just drop it over to one of our locations that has a pharmacy. So either the Nair Outreach Center, the Milford location, or we have one in Western Hills. And then you can just drop it off. You'll have to sign your name, and then we'll sort through it, make sure kind of a second.
And do you have volunteers behind the counter that are then working with those, or are they pharmacists?
Yeah, we do have pharmacists at every location. Don't worry, we would not be able to have the operation we do without that. Absolutely, no, we have very certified pharmacists at every location. But we do have some volunteering opportunities. Mainly, they are for people who do have some type of pharmacy license that's still active. Okay. But at the Milford location, at least as of now, as we're still getting that AI robot kind of up to code and to what we want it to be able to do, we are accepting volunteers, and all you have to be is just 18 plus and to just sign a waiver, and then you can go in and just see the magic we're doing over there.
That's cool.
Wow. So then a person then comes in of need, has a prescription?
Yeah, so they will meet with one of our techs first, and they'll actually get set up in a chart, kind of like an Epic chart. Like we have that technology and we have that account that we'll set up for them. And then we'll have that first appointment with them, and then they'll come in and then they'll be able to get medication.
Is it at any cost to them?
No.
None.
No cost.
Oh, my goodness.
I got to tell you what, after our conversation, our first call with Molly, I went into my pharmaceutical cabinet and I unloaded. I can't tell you how many. I did. Yeah. We saw each other afterwards. I came in with a giant bag of prescription. I was so happy to be able to. I hate dumping those things.
Yeah.
I don't want to put it in the water system.
You don't want to, do you?
There's ways of getting rid of it, but to know that this could be of use to people was one of the best moments of my week.
We talk about repurposing all the time. What a great way to repurpose medicine, provided it's all
right. And knowing you got pros on the other side of dealing with it, because there's going to be some questions. But
what else does St. Vincent De Paul do?
Yeah, other services we do are we did just acquire Sweet Cheeks Diaper Bank. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of that.
Did not hear that.
No.
But there's actually SNAP benefits and WIC benefits. So WIC is Women, Infant, and Children benefits. They do not cover diapers, which is something that absolutely just shocked me when I heard about that. Because if you think of women, infant, children, diapers are definitely a top need. Yeah. So Sweet Cheeks Diaper Bank has been around for a while in the Cincinnati area, but we did just acquire them. So now they're a St. Vincent De Paul program. We have the diaper bank in our Nair Outreach location.
So again, people that have the kids have moved on to the next diaper or none at all, bring down your surplus?
So
or how does that work?
You probably could donate us some diapers, but we do have just kind of a relationship with other partners, which I'm not entirely too up to date with. But I know that we do get diapers for a bit of a discounted price, and then we'll just finance that. We have donors who will then pay for and help us finance that. And then we just have volunteers come down, and then we have around 40 distribution partners that will then use the diapers that we give them, and then they will affiliate them with the families that need them. So St. Vincent De Paul was actually a recipient of Sweet Cheeks before, which is why we wanted to take on the program, because we do have neighbors that will come in and we'll give them emergency diaper assistance. And now we can give them diapers as well.
Time for a quick break. If you're liking what you're hearing, do us a quick favor. Hit that follow button, share it with your friends and family, drop us a quick comment, and then a 5-star review. It really helps us keep going and growing. Then head over to Instagram and follow us there too. Thanks for the help. And now let's get back to work.
Well, we've got some experience with volunteering at St. Vincent De Paul, specifically with bed deliveries.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we do have a bed program. We also do have a fundraiser for it coming up in around August, which is called Hope to Dream.
So, and a member of that, been participating in that.
Yeah. I would love to hear more about your involvement and just your overall experience with, I know the Mighty Men are a big group that help with that 100%.
Got 3 of them here.
Yes. We're so thankful for all of your work. So thank you so much. I know if it was just me and my team of like Jenna and Abby, we would not be able to lift up the beds. Yeah. So we have a bed program and we give out a bed to kids or to families that need them. They just come pick them up over at the Nair Outreach Center. They are easily compactable, so you can take your car and be able to fit it into a car, which is really helpful because I know back when I was there at first, we had bigger beds and you would have to have a truck to come get it. So I'm sure it's a lot easier on you guys to carry.
Well, I still have the truck, so now I can carry more.
Yeah.
I've been doing this since I came to town, so it's been about 4 years now. And back in the day, it was box springs, mattresses, and then frames. And now it is, as you said, they're compact. They sort of inflate over time type of thing. But the service that we provide, which is through the Mighty Men organization, we meet there once a month. And we have trucks and a bunch of guys, and we get our list, and we load up beds. We go on out to the community, and it is always eye-opening when you get out into the community and sort of see where people are living and how they're living, and to recognize that I could be looking at a 14-year-old that's never had their own bed.
Yeah.
And that's a tremendous service. The Hope to Dream event that you put on in August that is associated with a number of different institutions, including the Cincinnati Reds, is an incredible event where 50 kids are brought on in and all the beds are set up behind a big curtain, and it's a huge reveal. And it is just a feel-good moment for the kids and their parents, as well as for those that are setting up and then, again, bringing those beds, in which are back to the old format again, box springs, mattresses, and frames, to those homes so that they can get a good night's sleep. It's a great, great event.
Ashley Morris definitely helps us out a lot with that. But
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A too.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah,
it's a huge volunteering opportunity. And it's also just absolutely amazing to see the kids receive a bed.
So to pull that event off, were you here? Yeah, you were here last year for. You just came in on it.
Yeah, I just came in, but I wasn't at that event because I was at the food pantry with those volunteers.
How many people do you think are needed in order to help pull that event off? So that's a volunteer opportunity that somebody can sign up for, or do you have to do it through an organization?
Off the top of my head, I'm saying 50 people probably is what we would want for that, because we do have a lot of our staff that also comes to that event too.
Yeah.
And then I think Mighty Men, which is kind of, you guys recruit yourself. So we just know we can call on you and you'll all show up.
Yeah, ring the bell.
Yeah.
So tell us about yourself. What responsibilities do you have as volunteer coordinator?
Yeah. So last year we had 7,000 volunteers that came through
That's an army.
Holiday programs and all of our different events that we have, and then also just our day-to-day volunteers that we have, we're just so fortunate to have. We would not be able to organize and run the food pantry or any of our services, truthfully, without the army of volunteers that we have. So I just am blessed to be able to meet so many amazing people who just really want to dedicate so much time to service which is absolutely amazing to see, and to help navigate and make sure that they have everything understood of how to get there, how to sign in, how to track hours if they're getting community service hours. We have a lot of University of Cincinnati students that will come down the hill and will come volunteer, which is amazing. We've been having a lot of them these last few weeks because of
getting close on hours.
A lot of them cramming in 3 days, but they do what they do. And we have so many high schoolers too.
Schools. I'm familiar with a lot of the high schools coming in and helping. So. And
I know, Adam, you mentioned just your connection to volunteerism and service with high schoolers. I'll admit, when I first started, I was a little intimidated by the high schoolers. I'm like, I'm so out of the loop with what's new, this 6-7 stuff and whatever new slang they got. But honestly, just seeing, especially now with a lot of the students, especially from like LaSalle and from St. X, and truly seeing the impact that service has had on them is so huge. Some of them just like wrote an end of the year letter and really emphasized like service is not just about service, and it's about giving somebody dignity and an experience when they're shopping through. And like, my mind was blown. Right. I was like, a high schooler got that? So
that's great.
It's beautiful to see.
So for an individual, if I'm, a lot of our audience are a little bit older and, oh gosh, I've just got this harder pull. I want to become involved. Give me the journey. What's the journey like for an individual? Do they call you up? Do they just come online? And how do you train me? And just give us a quick rundown of that journey.
Absolutely. So the first step is you're going to reach out to me at my email.
Wow. You have to go through.
And that is, what's your email?
I was going to say, should I plug it? It's the simple one is volunteer with an S at svdpcincinnati.org. And that's going to be the easiest way for us to get a hold of you quite quickly. There's me and somebody else that will monitor that email inbox. But then you will get an email back from me, and then we'll set up a time for you to come and take a tour of our amazing Nair Outreach Center facility. And then we'll really just connect you with what the right opportunity is for you. So different volunteering opportunities include the food pantry, which is definitely our main one and the easiest one to get involved in because you don't need a background check. And then also our thrift stores. So we do have several different thrift store locations in the Cincinnati, Hamilton County area. And all of those stores, all the money that we accrue from those stores, they actually do come into our services. So they do fund our services, which is amazing to see, just that network. And then we also have welcome rooms where people will actually receive the neighbors as they're coming in. Some people are coming in on their month-to-month basis. Some people are coming in for the very first time. And because we do have the beauty of having a Catholic institute, instead of just kind of having to do things maybe the more like paper government form way, is that we actually have that space to be able to have a conversation with somebody as they're coming through. So if they need that space to just share everything they've gone through in the last week or month or year, what's on their heart, they really have that time to open their hearts and actually have somebody listen to them, which can be so huge and so rewarding.
Wow.
So that's definitely a very heartfelt position, not for the faint of heart, but we definitely will pair you up with one of our team members. So it's not like first day you show up and just you're expected to handle it all. There's a quite intricate training process with that. And then we also have our call center where you'll be the front line to receive calls. So at St. Vincent De Paul, we actually do have 24 families of parishes that will help support our services at the Nair Outreach Center. So at the Nair Outreach Center, that's in the West End, we serve 1/3 of the population there. And then the other 2/3 of the people we serve are just through Vincentians, which are a form of volunteers. And we have like over 1,000 Vincentians that help us out. Wow. So absolutely huge. And they help serve us and do a lot of home visits, which is also another volunteering opportunity you can get involved in, where you'll actually go to the home of the neighbor who is seeking assistance, and you can give them furniture. You have clothing vouchers as well, and you can give them food, medication, etc. So,
wow.
I didn't realize there was so much to do in the aspect of, and how you make it sort of customized to the individual desires. I just thought you'd go on the website and pick out, I want to do this, and then you show up and get an orientation and off you go. But you make it very, very personal to find out strengths from individuals and skill sets that they can pull forward from their work and maybe get engaged to help out. That's tremendous. That's tremendous. And there's other things. I mean, the food drive, you have a Christmas, right? Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so Christmas and Thanksgiving are going to be our food distributions.
Yeah.
So we collectively served over 2,000 meals to families through both of those distributions, which is huge. We were not blessed with fair weather this year with our distributions, but we still managed to have like 100 or more volunteers for both events that came in the rain.
Wow.
I handed out as many rain punches as I could, but honestly, most of them at that point were like, you know what, I'm already wet. I'm happy to serve. I'm here to do what I signed up to do, and we're happy to do it.
And you're always looking for people that can bring in food to help supply the pantry.
Yeah. If
Right.
you ever want to donate in any facet or any way, so we do have food donations that we'll take all the time. Definitely focus on non-perishable items, so like your canned goods. We also do personal hygiene items in our food pantry, so that's one of the last stops people can come through when they're at our pantry. They can get like shampoos, soaps, conditioners, etc. And then also, I know now is spring, and a lot of people focus on spring cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
So any opportunity you have of like going through your stuff, you're like, oh, I haven't worn this coat in forever. This lamp has been sitting here. My wife doesn't like it. I might as well throw it out anyways. You could, instead of going to the garbage can, St. Vincent De Paul, we're basically like a giant glorified garage sale. So we will happily take those donations. And we will, once we receive monetary investment from somebody who's purchasing that, then we will then turn those donations and that money into services.
So there are opportunities out there. You can go do it at Goodwill. You can go to CityLink. You can go to St. Vincent De Paul. How do you differentiate what happens at your place versus, others? Not that there's a competition, but hey, we're always looking for where's a good fit for us.
Yeah, I'd say, there's opportunities at any of the different places. CityLink shares a street with us, actually, which is amazing. And I know you mentioned you go to Crossroads. I actually go to Crossroads myself, too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So I go to the Oakley location.
So do we.
All three of you?
All three of us, yes.
What service?
10 o'clock Sunday.
10 o'clock.
8:15, but I serve at Saturday night. Because I'm at the info center still. I'm just not the guy running it.
Wow. So how many years has that been of info
Since
center?
it opened.
Wow.
Since it opened 1996, it's 30 years. Yeah, 30 years.
That's amazing.
So if you want any stories, as a storyteller, you and I could sit down and I have some stories for you.
Yes, absolutely.
So if I can migrate into the community side, what percentage of your volunteer corps are people that they're left their career and they're in this retirement area? What would you say your percentage of volunteers are that?
So as far as a hard number, I wouldn't have a metric for you. But for an estimate, I would say it's way over 50%.
Okay.
As far as people who come and continue to come more than just one or two times.
Right.
So definitely our volunteers who come and they stay and they continue to keep volunteering, that's going to be largely our older demographic and the people who are retired. And they're genuinely some of our best volunteers because we know we can rely on them. We know that they're connected to the mission. And a lot of times people will come in to volunteer and then we will connect them to our Vincentian lifestyle, which we call a lifestyle because it's way more about community. So we really want to have somebody who's maybe looking at exploring their faith, somebody who is maybe questioning faith or is a person of faith already and just wants that community. We have a network of Vincentians where it's really just a community of people who are growing in their holiness. And through that holiness, they then will do service. And it's a huge part of their framework. And we have over 1,000 Vincentians in the Cincinnati area. And that actually makes up over 1% of all Vincentians nationally as well. So we have a big community in Cincinnati.
That's right.
But if you're interested in that, just also email me and we'll get you connected to the right people. But it's definitely a great community and absolutely wonderful people. And that demographic is a lot higher percentage, I would say.
What are the benefits that you see from the volunteers that you work with, young and old, that they get out of working with?
Gratitude. Absolutely. I think it's so easy for us, especially in this society, to go through your day. You're like, oh, traffic was long. Oh, I had this inconvenience. Oh, and it's all a little mundane for the day-to-day person, maybe that has everything financially kind of in a good position for them. And then you come to the food pantry and then you come and volunteer and then you see somebody who's just so beyond excited to see milk in the fridge or so beyond excited that there's personal hygiene items to receive, and excited to just talk to a volunteer that is treating them genuinely like an equal. It's absolutely amazing to see, and I really think you just, spiritual or not, you leave feeling something in some form of gratitude.
Is there a great story of a volunteer that you like to use to say, oh, so this person came in and they did this, and wow, I heard this from them?
I mean, I honestly think almost every single volunteer will say something at the end of like, oh, this was such a great experience. And I like, especially our high schoolers learn so much. My favorite volunteer stories tend to be stories of people who may have received services, especially when they were a kid, their parent received services with St. Vincent De Paul. And then they just had such a great image of us as an organization that when they are a little bit more on their feet themselves as an adult, they come back and they're like, I just want to volunteer because I love this organization so much.
That's wonderful.
I appreciated what they did. I think that's the most heartfelt story. It makes me feel like we truly are serving our neighbors in our community in the best way that we can.
Do you have volunteers that have been there for years that just make it their place? Is there a lot of reoccurring volunteers that come to St. Vincent de Paul?
Yes, absolutely. And let me tell you, they could run that place without any of our staff members, truthfully. Wow. We have volunteers who've been there for probably over 10 years, and they just keep coming back. And it's just their place, their service. They're there at 8 a.m. every Tuesday, and they're sorting the bread. Or they are there every single week in the call center. Some of them are Vincentians tied to a conference themselves, and then they just come down to the Niagara Outreach Center to do additional volunteering as well. So those people are definitely some of my favorite volunteers, too, of just how they really, truly could run programs, and they know more about our mission, about what to do in certain tasks way more than I do. And they're such leaders too. If we have a new volunteer, they are genuinely pretty eager to meet them and to mentor. Yeah.
That's cool.
There's definitely opportunity for mentorship. I think honestly, if you've been in the pantry like once or twice, you already have the opportunity to lead somebody else.
Is there a mentoring program?
Is there a structure around it?
Structure around that or not?
Kind of sink or swim. We for the ones that do require like more attention and training, right? So the call center and the welcome rooms, we will essentially mentor you. And then throughout time, sometimes we pair some of our more seasoned volunteers with a new volunteer. So there is that mentorship opportunity. And then in the food pantry, we do have volunteers who I know as the coordinator, I have 20 places to be sometimes at the same time. And I know I can rely on some of the volunteers to just introduce them quickly to a new volunteer and say, hey, this is Cindy. She's going to be great. You're in good hands, probably better hands than you would be with me, truthfully. She knows all the updates, all the quirks and whatnot, and we'll have you to take you around.
It sounds like you got it together, but do you need volunteers?
Oh, yeah. We're going to need volunteers in the summer. We're going to feel it when the high schoolers leave and the college students leave.
So there's all these little ebbs and flows and seasons within your world that you need to reach out. I think you mentioned it before, and we can give your plug again, is about for someone to want to volunteer, they can go to the website. Mm-hmm. They can go to the volunteer email address, which again, if you wouldn't mind saying.
Yeah, so that's going to be volunteer with an S, so volunteers at svdpcincinnati.org. And you can also navigate to our website. So that's going to be St. Vincent de Paul, Cincinnati. There's a lot of St. Vincent de Pauls, so the Cincinnati one, make sure you're on that. And then there's a bar at the top that says volunteers. Then you go to volunteer application, and then we'll take you to a different platform. You just create an account, and then from there, you can automatically just start signing up for volunteer shifts in the food pantry. Otherwise, you'll get an email from me, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your life, the St. Vincent de Paul mission, and talking about what we like to think of our audience as, opportunities, to be able to give back or join a community. It sounds so much more like a community than it does just a volunteer operation. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's another opportunity for engagement, which, you don't know that exists unless you get into it. And thank you so much. It's been, I think you might be our youngest guest.
How old are you?
Oh, I'm so honored. I'm 26.
Oh, definitely.
That's
Definitely.
Great. Yeah.
Well, no wonder you haven't heard of ASMR before.
Hello.
Well, hello. Yeah,
true,
take a look.
true. We do have Adam.
That's right.
My apologies.
I'm bringing down the demographic
Yes.
here.
Adam is really cool.
That's right.
But thank you so much. And, obviously St. Vincent De Paul, I've been involved with it to the extent, didn't realize the complete offerings that you guys have there, which is incredible. I mean, that story of taking prescription medication and helping is just, I've never heard of that before. And I think this Cincinnati area is sort of piloting it to a degree, and they're doing a tremendous job.
It's real world.
I understand. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Really, really good. And then even I'm sure you need money too.
Yeah.
So somebody can write a check if they want to donate,
Absolutely.
right?
We will always take money. If you want
Molly
to go to
will
our
take that
website.
directly. So if you're going to send a check,
Take it
send
out to
to
Molly Spitzer.
Yeah, so here's my bank account.
That's right. Here's my Venmo. Come on.
My Venmo.
My Venmo.
Yes, yeah.
But thank you again for taking time out of your day today and letting us know more about St. Vincent de Paul and how people can get involved.
We do have an AC drive that's happening in June, actually.
Is that batteries? AC? Or
What's
AC units.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll get air conditioning. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you don't have to apologize. Somebody else does.
So it's air conditioned units, and we do give out an air conditioned unit.
So you're taking units that people might have.
Yeah, and our donors, luckily, are giving us new units. So
they're new in the box.
Yeah, they're new in the box. Every family is able to receive one. And the whole month of June, every single day, from Monday to Friday, we're actually going to need 2 volunteers to help distribute those AC units. So if you find yourself at night and you're like, I'm not hot and I'm able to sleep, but somebody else out there in Cincinnati
She's
might
got got the application form right in front of her, and she's given it to us.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll recruit the Mighty Men one day.
You have to know how to install it? You hook it up, or you just deliver it?
Yeah.
We just they come pick it up. Yeah,
okay.
You put it in their truck.
They put it in their truck and
or car, and away you go.
That's cool.
So thankful for you to be here today, and thanks for sharing your story, like Dale said, and thanks for joining us on the Redirect podcast.
We'd like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the 1819 Innovation Lab at the University of Cincinnati for their incredible support and partnership making this show possible. If you enjoyed today's episode, you can find more of our content on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as Instagram. Have questions or want to connect? Drop us a line at info@redirect-u.com. We'd love to hear from you. Remember, there's purpose in your life, so find it and go do something about it.
Hey, I've got one more comment. The Redirect podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We engage in an open, honest conversations about personal growth, life transitions, and the lessons we've learned through our own experiences. While we speak as experts in our own lives, we are not licensed therapists, medical professionals, or certified coaches. The content shared on the Redirect podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of qualified professionals for any physical, mental, or emotional concerns that you may have. We're grateful to share this space with you and hope that our stories inspire reflection and connection. If you're in need of more support, we encourage you to connect with a trusted professional who can help.